GM, GM. So alts. If you remember, I talked about the next time that you want to bid alts is when you get a red week. So we're having that red week currently. It's still only Wednesday, of course. You need to wait and see what happens next. It's come down towards previous level. It hasn't really found support yet. On the daily, it looks a bit sort of in between. Potentially more downside to come, potentially a local low. The 4 hour actually looks much better. You've had multiple pushes down and a really nice reaction off the 200 EMA. So I think it's quite simple. If total three can show strength to move there, I think it can probably move into a choppy phase and then push higher. And that's when you might see a more sustained kind of second wave of alts. If it chops, and then it can blast off, alts could go for the highs. The fact that Bitcoin has weak flows um, can actually be bullish for alts if Bitcoin doesn't collapse. Reason being is that people might lose interest in Bitcoin. And if they do, and they're still wanting to take risk, I mean, people always do, they always want to gamble, then they'll probably smash into alts. And you might see actually some real outperformance on alts. And you probably see Bitcoin dominance dropping. But that's something to more look out for towards the end of the week. I think this needs to consolidate. And your first tell would be if it can get back above 700. If it can get back above 700, I'll be watching the retest. So wherever that would come, whether it's there or higher or lower or whatever, I think if it can make its way up to show signs of actually breaking the downtrend, that's the first. That'd be the first area I'm looking at. As for BTC today, Bitcoin today with um, the flows and spot stable coins, open interest in stables, and funding rate. You want to look at what are the different exchanges doing. So being pretty consistent, spots pushing lower, CVD of futures pushing lower, open interest keeps building and building. So it doesn't seem like they're quite done yet. I would like to see more clear signs that each of the individual exchanges is shorting. So for that, I go into the individual ones and I look on a lower time frame. Like here, you can see a big rise of open interest on Bybit near the lows, with CVD kind of flat and sideways. So there's definitely some buildup of shorts here. It's up about 3,000 contracts, which is about 180 million. So there's definitely some shorting going on there on Bybit, but that would require Bitcoin to continue. If Bitcoin does continue and pushes higher, you could see maybe a push towards 65 again. The reason for that is because if traders are looking at the ETFs thinking, oh, it's so bearish, ETF flows are bad, and they start shorting, but they're shorting in after an extended decline. I mean, CVD on OKX has just been down only. You see here that they had a big buildup of shorts, got squeezed out totally on that push. Have they reloaded much? A little bit. We'll see. And then Binance, kind of choppy, sideways, but absolutely most of the selling has been perp driven, along with some general spot flows. So I would say that the majority of the selling has been longs closing out and shorts then building up, which keep getting squeezed on each of the pops, as you can see. But there isn't a strong spot bid right now, as you can tell, with the ETFs being weak, right? So it's not like you have just all systems go for longs, and it may very well be that shorts get a free ride, because if the ETFs remain weak and if Bitcoin remains kind of in between, and starts to lose support levels again, like if BTC drops back down here, well, you're going to see probably the same thing. You're probably going to see another new low made. The reaction off of hitting down below 61 and towards that 60K level wasn't super strong. I mean, you can see this quite clearly, right? The reactions are nowhere near as strong as they have been. That is a nice 4 hour reversal. I do expect that it can push higher, but it might just push back into the bands and find resistance again. It depends what the market's doing. Like if the market really loses interest in BTC, you're not going to see a whole lot of bullish impulse, but it makes zero sense to short here, right? Because the worst thing you could do is after so many, like several pushes lower, right, where it just goes lower and lower and lower, the market now just thinks Bitcoin is going to go down, right? This one's going to fail, this one's going to fail, this one's going to fail, and they think this rally is going to fail. What it can often do is just be choppy and just chop and just chop and sideways and eventually grind that out and that. Like that would be a really bearish consolidation, but as you can tell, it doesn't go down straight away. So it chops up the shorts, the shorts, the shorts. They try and short. They get stopped out once. They try and short. They get stopped out again, and then it weakens off and we go for new lows. That's like one potential path. I just don't really see. I don't see a case for a strong V reversal unless, again, there's a strong rally as people are way too short into FOMC. But that, if it does go straight up, I would also expect to probably lose momentum and fail and then have to come back to the lows. And if it's going to hold, it's probably going to retest at some point anyway. We are right down into this high time frame support. So Bitcoin can go lower and still be at that support. It was a flush level here. It was a retest. It was the big nuke, and it's now testing it. This is support until it breaks. It can go as low as 58, just over 58 with that pivot that I've had marked since 2021. It can go as low as that. So from there, I would say don't get too bearish, and it's probably just not a great time to take trades on BTC or too many trades outside of maybe some short-term stuff, because I think a lot of interest is going to leave. People are just going to kind of check out and say, oh, ETFs look weak. Maybe Bitcoin has to be sideways or choppy for a while. As we've had, months of really good price action, we might just get a little period of sideways, round tripping your trades, getting chopped up. So usually in that period, it's best to do nothing. We'll see, and I'll be live for ETF or for FOMC today at 5 p.m. ETC. I'll start the first stream. I'll have a second stream as well, and I'll have Pope on. So see you all then. GM.